Hey boys and girls, Jim here. What we're going to be doing here tonight is a side-by-side direct comparison between the Todd Begg Bodega, the original Bodega, and the newly introduced field grade Bodega. And this isn't really, I want to get this out very clearly, this is not a knife versus knife. It's very simple and clear cut that these are different grades, different levels of the same knife. They're identical in their operation, they're identical in their construction, and the difference is going to be in the materials. Not even really in the craftsmanship, but really just in the materials. You know, it's like trying to compare a Mustang to a Shelby or a Corvette to a ZR1. Obviously, the higher tier model is going to be the overall better. But is it better for every individual? And I don't think so. You know, when you look at the mid-tech knife market right now, a lot of people have a hard time justifying, and they've been very vocal about this, justifying the 850 in G10, the 950 in carbon fiber, and the 1050 in lightning strike carbon fiber that the Bodega goes for. And that's the, direct price from Todd Begg. You're going to pay more than that in some cases when you go out and buy from different dealers or individuals, especially depends on what time of year it is. You know, like I said, when I first bought mine, there were no bodegas. You could not find a bodega. And I severely overpaid. And then like a month later, the market was flooded with them. And now it's really the prices are pretty much the same almost everywhere you go. So a lot of people have said, I can't justify spending that much on what is a quote-unquote mid-tech. At the 550 price range that the field grade is in, that is much more in people's wheelhouse. That is really what you expect to spend on almost any maker's mid-tech knife. And I think that by doing this, Todd has recognized the gap in the market, and he's been very smart about satisfying that need instead of maybe possibly watching people say, oh, I really want a bodega. I just can't spend that much money on a mid-tech, so I'm going to go for brand B, C, or D that'll put me in that $550 to $600 range that I'm more comfortable with spending. You know, people tend to graduate in their collecting. They'll start out with the very, very inexpensive knives, and then if the knife bug bites them, they're going to step up into higher quality production. Then they're going to move on up, usually in levels. You don't usually see somebody just jump in at the deep end of the pool. Of course, some will, but they're going to graduate, and maybe they haven't gotten to the level of spending that much money. I mean, you got to realize there are plenty of full-on custom knives that are less expensive than a Bodega mid-tech. So this is certainly going to satisfy a lot more people. A lot more individuals will have Todd's design in their hand, have a blade that says Todd Begg directly on it, more so than with the regular Bodega. This would have normally fallen into my guest blade series. I hope you guys have caught up on all those episodes. If not, please do check my channel and start watching those. We all get to experience such incredibly cool knives that we wouldn't typically have access to. And it's through a wonderful network of knife collectors through the YouTube community specifically, but also in the Instagram community that have made some wonderful knives available to me, and certainly no exception here. And this is only going to be separate from that series because I really want to put this as a direct head-to-head comparison and review. So I want to thank Don so very much. Go check out his channel, Movie King, M-O-V-I, there's no E, King. Dude is super awesome. We've been talking now for probably, a few months. We seem to share a lot of the same interests and the same likes in knives. I've sold him a couple of knives. He's just been like a super awesome guy. And he says, hey, I bought 2 of the field grade Bodegas. I heard you mention that you wanted to get your hands on one to do a comparison. He goes, when mine land, I'd love to send one to you and let you play with it. And true to his word, the day they got there, the very next day, I think he shipped this out. So super awesome, Don. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being a pal and for helping me do this for my subscribers. So let's go over the basics. I mean, really, these are the same knife. They're both using Bowler N690 steel. Everything is the same, except really the finishing and the materials that are being used. The only other big difference is going to be in the weight. There's an ounce difference. So this is going to weigh in at 6 ounces being all G10, and this is going to be 7 ounces because of all of the titanium built into this construction as compared to this. The only titanium here is the back spacer and into the sub-frame lock. That's a removable sub-frame lock, which I've discussed in very thorough detail on my 2 Bodega videos. If you haven't seen them yet, please go see them. They're quite informative. I'm not going to go quite that in depth here because there's no need. So you would think, well, an ounce, that doesn't really make a big difference. Actually, it does. When you're talking about something that weighs 7 ounces, to take a full ounce out of that 7 ounces, there is a noticeable difference between these two. And I did this earlier. I just kind of sat down, closed my eyes, and had my wife put them in front of me in no particular order where I didn't know what they were. And it was an immediate difference. I felt it immediately. I knew which one was which. So if somebody says it's not that big of a difference, yeah, it actually is. Most common people won't feel a 1 ounce difference, but if you're used to carrying heavier knives, and then all of a sudden you put this all G10 Bodega in your hand, you'll be like, oh, wow, there actually is a substantial difference. And I want to be clear, this is an amazing knife. This is something that I truly believe everybody should have in their collection. If you didn't know this standard Bodega even existed, if you just judge this knife on its own merits, you'd fall just as much in love with this knife as you would any full Bodega. The ergonomics are the same, which is one of the things that I love about the Bodegas. It just feels right in the hand. The way the frame dips down here for your thumb, instead of having a thumb ramp that comes up, you've got a thumb rest right here. Obviously, just like the standard, there's no jimping anywhere on the knife, except for in the subframe lock and on the very, very back there. So what you're getting into here is, I hesitate to use this term, but it's a popular term, so I hope people don't think I'm being insulting by saying it, because I don't mean it to be derogatory. This is the poor man's Bodega, or maybe the smart shopper's Bodega. How about that? So like I said, even if you can afford a standard Bodega, maybe you just can't justify it, and that's totally fine. With this, you're getting all the same great features, the same great ergonomics, a little bit less weight, and in all honesty, for somebody like me that owns a Bodega, I'm kind of one of those people that I will carry and use everything I own. I have battle scars and carry marks all over my Bodega. That's just the way it is. Because I use it. I love it. I cut shit with it, and I have a lot of fun with it. But this is a more guilt-free way to enjoy this knife. Bowler N690 is fantastic steel, holds a good edge. I strop my Bodega maybe once a month, and probably not even really so much out of necessity, just because I want to always maintain my blades. So you're getting a double hollow ground blade here. It is super sharp right out of the box. You've got a nice big finger choil here so that you can drop into different positions. And you notice when I mention how they cut down the frame here, they also give you that, it's almost like a harpoon blade here with the top swedge with the false edge up there. And you'd think that's just for aesthetics and it looks really cool. When you advance up on this and you throw your thumb in there, well, look where it drops. I mean, this was the overall design from the very beginning was very intelligently designed, and that's why I love Todd Begg's work so much. Yeah, I'm sad that it's a 6-year wait to get a full custom. I really want a full custom by him, but it's just not going to happen. Until then, I'm just going to be happy with what's made available to us. So you've got a very simple stonewash blade here. So again, it's a little more guilt-free. I've got a satin finish on my full Bodega. It shows marks very quickly and very easily. This is designed to mask that use. So this truly is, whether you own a Bodega or not, this is truly a user's Bodega, something that you are going to cut things with. Now, As I understand it, only the first 20, and they have already been sold as far as I know, only the first 20 will carry on with the fuller that goes through the blade and then has the holes drilled out through there. I don't know what they plan on doing next because it's really been wonderful that Mark Begg has been so attentive on Instagram, and he really posts a lot and answers a lot of people's questions. And people have asked him, well, I heard you guys are going to remove the groove. I really hope you don't do that because that's one of the signatures of the knife that we love. And I agree. I would not want to see this as just a flat, regular plain flat. I really would hate to see that. He says, yes, we are going to get rid of the groove, but we're going to do something else that's cool that I think you guys are going to like. So I think there's going to be something there that's still going to attract us to it. So the whole reason behind this is they had to find a way to make it a bit more bare bones where they could chop at least $300 out of the retail. And one of the ways they did that was by a lot less finishing work on the blade. If you take a look at these two blades side by side, you see that my Bodega has a beautiful satin finish. It's a little dirty and it's got a few scratches, but I think you can very easily see that. You'll see that they started out with a black DLC blade and then did the satin finishing to remove all of the black and leave the black in the groove. Here, the groove is the exact same finish as the rest of the blade. To my eye, it's not nearly as attractive. It's a little bit less futuristic, a little bit more businesslike. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's ugly, but it's just not my cup of tea after having a regular Bodega. You lose the cracked ice pivot plate. That is now replaced just with a standard pivot, and the pivot looks like it could be a little bit smaller. I don't know, maybe it's the same size. You see it's just about the same on the other side. It doesn't seem to be countersunk into the material like this one is. That is countersunk into the titanium. This is not. That's obviously a lot less time consuming. There is a satin finish on the inside of the titanium subframe lock. And this one, you know what? It's almost the same. It's still been stonewashed, but it seems like they still put a little bit of effort into that. You don't get the cracked ice finish on the amazing pocket clip, but the pocket clip is still the same functionality with the standoffs parallel to the frame, and then the big ball detent that's being used at the end, which allows us to roll in and out of the pocket very, very easily. Still get the same lanyard hole. You don't have blasted titanium on the subframe lock and backspacer. It's done just in the standard stonewash, very simple and easy to do. I am assuming that the backspacer is titanium. I don't see it where they would really benefit from using steel there and then finishing it like the titanium, so I'm going to assume that that's titanium. You've got the same jimping around the ass end. So, you know, side by side, there's not a tremendous amount of differences, but you can see the custom work that's been put into the standard Bodega that doesn't exist on the field grade. And that really does give you a great deal in pride of ownership, absolutely. Operationally, I love how Bodegas flip. You are not missing out on anything by saving $300 and getting the G10 field grade. Not at all. You're getting the exact same action, consistent lockup. Let me see off camera, yeah. Same great centering, the same attention to detail is going into the field grade that you would get in the standard model. There are some gripes, really not many. It's still one of the things that I love. Thank you, Todd, so much for making a flipper that doesn't hurt your finger, because I'm like a lot of guys. I flip my flippers all day long. I'm always playing with them. And I have certain knives that the way the flipper has been manufactured, or made, I should say, that it just digs into your finger and actually gets the pad of your finger sore after 300-400 flips throughout the day. Also, the way it feels as you deactivate the lock. It's almost a soft surface. I'm not tearing up my thumb. I have permanent calluses here from lock bars and liner locks in my collection. It kills me. I can do this with a Bodega all day long, have fun with it, listen to that sound, and just enjoy myself and not feel like I've been run through the freaking ringer like I would do with some of my other knives. The gripe I have is both aesthetically and the tactility of this G10, in my opinion, is shit. Now, that's not to say it's a poor design. It's just I really feel if they took the time to create a design for this knife, that it shouldn't look like you have two completely different materials. Maybe Todd decided he wanted to have more of a bolster look. In that case, I just would have used, 6AL4V titanium up here and created a bolster. I don't like this. And I've talked to a few other people that own the field grades and they don't like it either. This is rough on your skin. It's a sharp degree of checkering. It is actually bothersome to play with this knife over time because of that. I would also tend to think that that's going to wear on your pockets as it's coming in and out of your pocket every day. I think that is going to tear shit up real bad. If it was all this line pattern, I think it would look a lot better. It did a great job contouring and it feels nice everywhere else till you get to this diamond pattern. The diamond pattern makes no sense. That's why I never bought one. That's why I didn't get in on the first 20 and order one. I didn't like the way it looked. But here's what I really like about this. Okay? Something that I have wanted for a while, and I've hinted to Todd in Facebook messages and whatnot, that I really, really wish they would make an interchangeable Bodega where you could take out your scale, buy in, like a Hinder. You pay Rick Hinder $65 per scale, and you can change up your knife on a whim. I would love to be able to have an interchangeable system in my Bodega. I love my red G10, and as far as I know, there's only 2 or 3 that even exist. But from time to time, I'd love to be able to throw carbon fiber in there, or throw blue G10, or black blue G10, or toxic green. Ooh, I love toxic green. With this, now I'm not saying you should, but you certainly could contact any decent knife pimper and have them make you a scale. And all you do is you unscrew this, that comes right out. You drop in your new scale. Now, I don't know how difficult it would be on this side, but again, it's not inlaid into titanium like the regular Bodega is. There is no way to remove this. It's epoxied in. There's no hardware inside holding it in place. So it is epoxied in there. There's no way I'm going to get that scale out ever. With this, I feel it gives you the flexibility where in the future, if you decided you wanted to do something cool, you could change it out yourself. Again, I don't know that you really want to go opening up a precision-made knife like this, and you have to remember, this is IKBS. You have loose bearings. These are not thrust bearings, needle thrust bearings, any kind of cage bearing system like GTC or Browse. These are loose balls that when you take this apart, you're chasing your balls all over the place. So there is that to contend with. But again, you can just send it to a knife pimper and go, here, you do it. So that's entirely up to you. Overall, I think this is probably one of the best mid-tech knives that you can get in this price range. You're getting all of the steel performance, the cutting ability with this great, very practical shaped blade, plenty of belly, still plenty of pointiness at the tip. Having that little harpoon up there for aesthetics looks great. Having the choil, having the thumb rest built in is great. He blocks off the back edge here so you never have to worry about a fat finger getting cut when you access the choil. All of the thoughtful things that was brought forward in the fairly expensive Bodega is being replicated here in the field grade version. So don't feel like it's a downgrade. If you really want to get into a regular Bodega, then by all means do it. But if you don't care for the extra flash, if you don't care for the extra satin finishing and the cracked ice and the heft and the feel of the titanium, this is going to serve you as being one of the best knives in your collection, flat out. I can't say enough good things about it. I think that there are some areas of opportunity Again, I think with G10 you could do so much. You could do scalloping, you can have peaks and valleys, you can have finger grooves, you could, I don't know, Anzo it in some way or something, or just create a nicer design. This is not, to my eye, not a very appealing look. I think it takes away from the beauty, and it breaks up the lines. One of the things I love about the Bodega, it's like a fine sports car. The lines that flow through this are completely disrupted with this separation and the two different materials and the wildly different patterns. It doesn't fit, it doesn't work, and it doesn't feel very nice. But I think it's also going to give Todd a lot of options for the future in future runs to blow our minds with other cool designs. So it may have been done somewhat purposefully. I don't know. All I can say is kudos to Todd, to Mark, the whole gang over there for creating yet another masterpiece. This is something that anybody should be proud to have in their collection. The flipping action is every bit as good as the standard Bodegas. The feel in the hand, aside from the roughness of the diamond tops, feels great. It's everything that you want a Bodega to be without the heftier price tag and without possibly, depending on the type of person you are, without the fear or the guilt of actually using it to cut down a cardboard box or hack into a tin can or whatever else. Because you've got that stonewash blade making things a little bit easier for you to live with. Just give you a quick comparison on the logos. I do believe they're just about the same. Not as sharp on the feel grade. There's definitely a higher degree of quality to the logo work there. It also fits on the blade properly. Right below the groove and right above the bevel, where this one spills over onto the bevel and disappears into the groove. So whoever they're sending it out to for that treatment is not doing such a hot job. But you can't take away from the knife for that, and certainly nobody's going to give a shit. It's not going to, prevent you from buying it. I think this is going to give people a great canvas to work with. Do some other cool custom finishing, acid etching and whatnot. Maybe a little bit of polishing here and there. I think you're going to see a lot of these being used as project knives in the future. Probably not these first 20 because they're going to be so rare. But in the future, I think you're going to see a lot of project knives come out of these. All right, guys, I'm going to go for now. I may revisit this again in the near future. I'm not sure. My battery's about to die, so I do have to go. Thank you all so very much for joining me as always. I love you guys. Please click like or the thumbs up or whatever. Share it with your friends. To Don, to Movie King, thank you again for your generosity. And to Todd Begg and his entire crew, great job. Thank you for creating this so more people can own what I still consider to be one of the most perfect knives in the entire industry. Now more people can experience that level of perfection in something that I think a lot more of them can afford. I'll see you guys later.